Hi everyone. I've had a really rough 7 or so weeks. My health care, the immediate needs of my body, has just consumed all my efforts, or almost all of my efforts, and I've not made it around to posting on YouTube. In fact, you can see by my hair being pointing everywhere, I'm still not feeling well. I want to share sort of the best of what's been happening and the worst of what's been happening. I had a telephone appointment with my surgeon on July the 30th. And I said to the surgeon, I'm still feeling fluid coming out of my left surgery incision. So if this is the skin and this is the outer thigh muscle, it's this space in here that my thumb represents where the fluid's coming out of. It's not normal for it to be doing this, but then it's not normal to have your hip operated on 7 times. And what caused this was all the scar tissue that happened as a result of the previous 6 hip surgeries. It's not the fault of the surgeon. He's just the one that's caught the mess of all this. I think he believed me. But, in an appointment I had with him in 2024, he explained to me that he has to send any requests for imaging as a problem to be solved. So what he wrote on the ultrasound requisition was check for the presence of post surgery fluid seen on April 26th by ultrasound. My local hospital called me the following morning. Where I was operated on is about 70 minutes from my home. They had a time slot available for August the 5th, and I wanted to be seen, and if that's when I need to go to the hospital, it's not a big deal to me to get it done. And surprising enough, most of the fluid that was seen on April 26th was still there. I've got a copy of it on my computer, and what it looks like to me is that something like a skin formed around what approximately looks like a very large cyst. If I'm correct, the only way to get rid of the skin around this is a small operation. It's not a big deal. And to be fair, my artificial hip itself is fine. But just for the record, this was the 6th surgery I've had, the 6th hip surgery I've had as an adult. And I'd much rather be concerned about the hip than the incision, because what this now represents is a very real possibility of getting an infection, and this all being for naught. My surgeon's office just got back to me this week. I'm willing to bet that my surgeon was away and had some type of vacation during the past 6 weeks. And because normally he's right on top of things, but he's very skilled. He's well respected here in the city where I live and in the emergency department where I was operated on. If he went away for vacation, he deserved it, and he deserved to be able to let everything go for a few weeks. So he's agreed with me. And it's one of the times where I really don't want to be right. But, here I am. There's a simple procedure to initially start down the path that would lead to an operation for draining the fluid. In fact, I'm quite uncomfortable from it right now, and I'm going to be going to the hospital in the morning to try and see if the emergency department would do this for me instead of a planned appointment. The fluid is pushing against a nerve, and I can barely make the damn hip move. Again, there's nothing wrong with the artificial hip. It's just this fluid. It's been a problem for months. 2 days after the ultrasound in August, I lost almost the entire motion in my left hip. It's kind of where I'm at again this evening. My ability to take a step in August was about this long. And, it was imminently life-threatening. I couldn't make the damn hip move. I went to the hospital to see if they would drain it, and they didn't want to. I have the tools here to do it, and I do know how to do it. So I came home and did what was necessary to get the motion back in my hip myself. I'm contemplating doing this again this evening because I'm so uncomfortable right now. And I was successful. So the part that was life-threatening was gone, and at that point, it becomes the surgeon's problem again. The problem with all this, though, is that it's soft tissue pain. So I doubt most people watching could relate to having serious hip problems. But I expect most people could relate to a sprained ankle or, a sprained elbow, like tennis elbow, for example. Even when I got the motion back in the hip, the tissues needed time to heal. And I've honestly spent most of the past 6 weeks in bed. It's why I haven't been online a lot. I got into the start of September, and my right artificial hip, the one that's going to be replaced next, started falling out of the socket, both all the way out and partially out. And it's pretty buggered up right now. And I'm having a decently hard time making it move. So I sent my surgeon a letter on September 8th when the hip came all the way out of the socket for the first time. And when he didn't respond, I went to my local hospital emergency department, and I said to the doctor, I'd like you to use different words than what I did, and talk to the surgeon in a way that he's expecting to hear. I really like my surgeon. The only thing that makes sense to me is that he's either been away on some type of vacation or there's been some type of family emergency, because he's a really good doctor. I'm sure I'll find out what's happened when I eventually see him again. But to make my life easy, he's asked my local hospital here to drain the fluid out of my left hip. And he wants to get the left side settled before my right hip's replaced. In principle, I agree with this, but I really don't know how practical it is at this point. When my left hip started coming out of the socket, in March, the 2.5 weeks before the surgery, the local hospital asked me if I wanted to be admitted and have them take care of basically keeping me fed and washed so I wouldn't have the stress on me to do this myself. I'm kind of getting there right now. I just the past 3 weeks with my right hip getting me at the same time as the left's been very hard. Now, to be fair, I don't really make decisions off emotions unless it's a question of what do I need for my emotional well-being. But to be fair, draining the fluid out of my left hip will provide a lifeline to me, and I'm willing to give a few days to see how it makes out. When I was in the hospital in April, I really missed Gary. Gary's my little hamster. One of my neighbors was taking care of him. And she sent me videos and photos of him every day. I would prefer to be here with him if I can. I like that little guy. Gary's 22 months old now. And, they typically only live about 2 years if they're bought at a pet store. Some of them will make it to 4 years if they're from a pure breeder. But I'd like to be here with him for whatever time he's got left. Apart from this, I've been trying my best in life. I've been really glad. I live in Canada. I've been really glad about the e-commerce developments that happened as a result of the pandemic. And so it's not been a challenge to get groceries here at the house when it's been too hard to go to the store. But really, my life has just been mostly resting. Anyway, that's sort of the upshot on the medical part of things. One of my friends is going to help me get my window air conditioner put away for winter next week. It's got a little bit of mold that's on the inside of it. I got most of it out. But he's going to help me finish cleaning it before it gets put away for the winter months. If I've learned one thing with the window air conditioner is you really should be checking it once a month, cleaning the air vent, and checking for any water that's standing, and try to identify why it's standing so it can get out of it. Because mold grows in a dark, damp, and dirty environment. The problem's not insurmountable, and it is routine for window air conditioners to do this. Yeah, I think that's all I want to share. I was mainly wanting to talk about the medical side of things in this video. I'll try to get down to the water again. I don't know when, though. I've been having to treat my energy the same as your ration money or your budget money. Actually, one other thing very special happened for me. About 2.5 months ago, one of my friends brought me a dwarf banana plant. I had it sit in my kitchen sink so the sun could be on it, but we're getting into the fall season now, and the plant was starting to suffer because of not getting enough light. So I've now got it set up with my dwarf banana plant station. In another video, I'll share it again, but I've got a frame made out of PVC that's got sand in the bottom to weigh it down. And then I've got a grow light above it. And I took a look at it before getting the camera out here. It's gonna lose 3 or 4 leaves because of what happened while it was in the kitchen sink. But overall, the rich shade of greens come back to the rest of the plant, and it should survive. I bought a series of slow release water. I'm not sure what their real name is. They kind of look like a ball, and then they got some ceramic that's not been painted or glazed, and you shove it in the soil, and it slowly lets the water out of the reservoir at the top. So if I can't get to watering the plant each day, at least it'll have had some moisture. If I try to give it about a cup and a half of water each day, just to help it grow. I'm sure my one neighbor will take care of that for me when the time comes to have the surgery. I've still been really thankful for all the effort that was put in to help me while I was in the hospital in April. I am still wanting to buy a number of Tim Horton gift cards and also go to the Dollarama. It was originally a dollar store, but now things are about $5 and under in there. What I want to do is get some word searches and some books, some needle points, and for any of the nursing staff that are having a hard time or need a skill to deal with the stress of the job, to have this available for them, and they could just take home whatever they want. They were really good to me while I was in the hospital in April. When the time comes for my right hip to be operated on, I will post an update that's happening. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've already bought some hot chocolate and some peppermint extract to come with me this time. When I was in April, on the 3rd day, I asked one of the nurses, or not asked, when the nurse had me up practicing and learning how to walk again, I just casually said to her, I'd give almost anything for a glass of hot chocolate. And then the conversation just moved on. And at supper time, she came with this big smile on her face and said, "Here, Ron." And she'd made me up a glass of hot chocolate or the staff supplies. So what I'm planning on doing is checking off tea off the menu, and then instead of putting the tea bag in, slip some of the hot chocolate powder and the peppermint extract. It'd be nice to have it with me. Yeah. Where I was operated on was in Kingston. I wasn't planning on doing this, but if any of you did want to contribute towards the gift cards for the nurses, what I was planning on doing was buying 20 of them, $10 each, and it would be for the nursing staff, the personal support workers, and there's a mobility team in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I'll put my PayPal email address down below, and if any of you do want to help with it, so be it. If not, it's fine. I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked with the lack of people saying please and thank you to the nursing staff. And they said to me how rare it was to have a patient that still said please and thank you. I don't know what's gone on with the world. I can understand people being under stress and being in the hospital after surgery. But I don't think that means you should toss your manners away. Anyway, that's sort of what's been happening with me. If you're stuck with the video this long, thank you for doing so. And I appreciate you watching it today. Take care. Bye for now.